Two big guys going at it, boy.
This is a big guy battle. Wow.
Well, an advantage for the Ranger. Remke had no helmet for Johnston, so those punches are going to hurt a little more when they land.
They let them go.
One guy 6'7". How big's Johnston? 6'5"?
No, I think he's 6'7" also. Yeah, that's pretty good size. And
that's a big guy battle. This is a big guy battle. Us two.
What's going on? Welcome everybody to the Instigators Hockey Show. I'm Paulie D. That guy right there. That's Chris Katsopoulos. Former NHL defenseman. He got a lot to say tonight. We got a lot to talk about, man.
Is there ever?
I mean, I'm probably I don't even know where to start. Obviously, we're going to talk New York Rangers. We're going to talk. We're going to need Beth to give us some updates on the scores. Right now, I'm rooting for Boston right now. I'm hoping that Boston's going to extend that series with Florida. Don't want Florida to end it tonight. So hopefully Boston, last time I checked, it was 2-1. They can hold on to that. We're going to talk New York Rangers. We're going to talk Edmonton Oilers. We're going to talk Dallas Stars. We're going to talk NHL hockey. Michael, it's good to see you, man. I hope you're doing well.
Mr. Mason.
I guess we'll start with we'll talk about Nebushkin.
Nishushkin, Valerie. I'll jump right into it. That's kind of shocking. Like in the middle of a Stanley Cup playoff round, getting caught with a whatever drug test. Not his first time, second time. You know what I mean? Like he's a big key to that team. And it showed last night the way they played against Dallas. I mean, Dallas just ran all over the ice on him. But, listen, I'm going to be pretty blunt. I don't feel sorry for him. This is not your first time. He already went through it once earlier this year, right? He had that episode in a Vegas hotel a little while ago. We all know about that, where there was a drunk woman in his hotel room. And that was during the playoffs, I believe, last year, too. So I don't feel sorry for this guy. I feel sorry for the team. This guy let his team down as far as I'm concerned. I know a lot of people are going to jump on me and say, well, he's got a problem. He's got a problem. He's got a problem. Well, if you got a problem, do fucking something about it. Don't wait till you're in a Stanley Cup playoff to get caught again and let your team down. I'm getting right into it. That's how I feel on it, Paulie. I don't feel sorry for him one bit. Good player, but I don't feel sorry for him at all. Period.
Yeah. Well, this is recorded to be his third offense.
Third offense. Okay, there even worse.
So he's in stage 3 of the program, which I wanted to explain what stage 3 is. Stage 3 really is it's the last stage.
There is a fourth stage, Paulie. Fourth stage is a 1-year complete suspension. He's only suspended for 6 months.
6 months without pay. It's pretty much, but he has to be reinstated as well after the 6 months. So, I mean, it's really the last shoe-in for this guy. How do you disappoint your team like that? And, why are you falling off the wagon so much? And then during, like you said, I mean, the Stanley Cup playoffs, man, it's disappointing for the team, and the press conference was the team's ready to just move on, and they're going to have to. But it's sad with the addiction problems. More importantly, like you said, I mean, it's not. You have all the resources, and at this point, it looks like it's just selfishness. So it's a sad thing, and the Avalanche are going to miss him, man.
Well, yeah, Paulie. When you break the Avalanche down, you go McKinnon, you go Makar, you go Taves, you go Rantanen. I mean, Shushkin's right there in the top 5 players on that team. Yeah. Now, you take one of your top 5 players out, that weakens your team.
Sure.
I just don't. I can't understand it. I'm sorry. You know, to all those that have problems in life, I mean, I understand your pain and stuff like that, but this is ridiculous. Like you said, it's his third time. You don't get it after the first one. You really shouldn't get it after the second one either, would you, Paulie? You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Now it's the third one.
We discussed it earlier this year. It's the second time this year. It's his third altogether. Yep.
There you go.
You know, I mean, it's just unfortunate. But
you let your team
who's going to want to take a chance on this guy after this?
Well, I mean, deep down, you got to hope that he gets better when it comes to the health-wise. But if I'm a general manager in the league, he's kryptonite. I'm not touching him.
Yeah, yeah, I get it.
No, I get it. You can't take that chance.
No, I get it. And then, obviously, the Avalanche have, they're climbing an uphill battle, man. So,
oh boy, we might as well get into that one real quick. What do you think of that series so far? I knew Dallas was good, but I didn't realize they were this good. I'll admit it.
Yeah,
I mean,
I was kind of daydreaming.
Wyatt Johnson? Anybody want to tell me where they got Wyatt Johnson from? He's 20 years old. He popped 2 goals last night. He's got I don't know how many goals so far in the playoffs for Dallas, but this kid's a stud.
Yeah, well, I mean, they play tonight, don't they? Do they play tonight?
No, I don't think so. I think tonight's Edmonton and
they play tomorrow night. Yeah, I mean, Dallas got a chokehold on that series. I mean, what can you say about that? It's it's definitely an uphill battle for Colorado.
It looks like to me that I wouldn't bet on it, but I think Colorado's done, and I like them going into the Stanley Cup playoffs this year.
No.
They look done to me.
Yeah, I don't know. That's good. Dallas was what 2 points behind the Rangers total. They're a pretty massive team. They're a pretty tough team. And then you got Edmonton and Vancouver, which I know we were going to talk about. That got real chippy the other night.
Yes, it did.
Handed out, and I think I'm going to let you hit that one because I think you had a pretty funny line with.
I actually stayed up to watch that game, like the old man that I am. I barely kept my eyes open, but I saw the ending of that game, and Edmonton pulled the goal. He tried everything they could to try to get the puck in the net late and stuff like that. Right after the whistle, there was a scuffle behind the net. Obviously, with McDavid and Soucy, the defenseman for Vancouver. And I saw McDavid take a pretty good slash at Soucy to start the whole thing, behind the net. People don't want to really talk about that. I've noticed that that's been kind of put down on the low there, low key part in all the story about it. And Soucy reacted like a hockey player would. He's going to give him a shot. He probably was going to give him a shot right across the chest area. But in the meantime, the big Russian robot there, Zadorov, at the same time, almost perfect timing, cross-checks McDavid in the back. So his head goes down, and next thing you know, the stick goes right in his face from Soucy. It looked pretty bad, okay? It did look bad. And, the result is Soucy gets a 1-game suspension. Zadorov is $5,000 lighter in his pocket for the cross-check. But I listened to what he said, his quote. He's like, it's hockey. I came to basically the rescue of my teammate like I have for 11 years. But, he goes to the NHL. They got to save their investment. So
protect their investment.
They have to protect that's exactly what he said. They got to protect their investment. So, I think that's Connor McDavid he's talking about. So in a way, it was a pretty good cross-check to his face, but I understand the 1-game suspension in this case because I don't think Soucy meant to hit him in the face. It's Zadorov coming in from behind caused that to happen the way it ended up happening. So
yeah,
I think it's a fair suspension. And listen, Connor McDavid started it. I don't care what anybody said. He started it. He gave a 2-handed chop right across the legs of Soucy, the defenseman, and like any good hockey player would, Paulie. You're supposed to react when shit like that happens, and he did.
He sure did, didn't he?
But Zadorov's a beauty. He's almost like you got to listen to some of the stuff this man says. I've been listening to him. He ain't afraid to talk. There's no question about it. During the week, he said something about Edmonton. He said, "There's nothing to do in Edmonton except go to hockey games." He was kind of trashing the city. Said the fans are great there, but that's all they got to do is go to hockey games. There's nothing to do with the city of Edmonton. So he's the big heel number one to the Edmonton Oilers. That's for sure.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah, he's a beauty. And that was a good trade. Vancouver picking up Zadorov from Calgary at the time.
All this talk, there was so much talk about the New York Rangers and
I would have loved this. I'm not listening. I'm not big on Russian players or any of them communist guys, and that's what I call them. But him, I would have liked, because he's a good player. Plus, he don't take no shit from nobody.
Yeah. All this talk about the New York Rangers and the 94, the similarities in 94, and we'll talk New York Rangers shortly. I just wanted to bring this up, and I was thinking, Vancouver's in it too, and they're a pretty tough team. Could you imagine if that happened again?
What would be the odds?
Wouldn't that be crazy? Well, I mean, it could happen.
Well, I know it could happen, but I'm saying, what would be the odds if anybody bet on that at the beginning of the year or halfway through the year, or even before the playoffs started?
So I want to get into some of the meat and potatoes right now of the show, because I think it's really important. Boston's playing tonight, and again, Beth, if you could just briefly give us updates on the score there. I think that game is coming close to an end, isn't it?
2-1. 2-1. No, they just started the third period.
Okay.
Just started.
You look at this series, and you got to talk about it. Sam Bennett punches in a Czech-like fashion, punches Marchand right dead in his face, and everyone's seen it. Everyone's seen it. Looks like he's knocked Marchand, out of these last couple of games. How does that not become reviewed and talked about? You had posted, and to me, the Bruins coach is like, I really feel like the officiating has to be called to the carpet. We have to have open discussions on why calls are being made, why calls aren't being made, and we need some transparency.
Well, let's separate this one though first. Let's not get into a video discussion about Marchand versus Bennett, because they both play the same style. They both get away with dirty shots. So boo-hoo to Marchand. Sorry, you've caused more shit in this league and hurt more fucking people with your own bullshit. And now you're going to cry because Sam Bennett beat you to the punch. You know what I mean? Like, think about it.
I don't disagree.
If it had been somebody else on the Bruins, I might have felt a little worse, about it. But it's Marchand. If you looked at the whole series, Paulie, so far, how many opportunistic hits did Marchand have in the first 2 or 3 games? He was waiting for guys to turn their heads away and smash them. Marchand, what they say is you reap what you sow, Paulie. And Bennett, how many years have I been telling you about Bennett? I know he's a dirty little prick. I know he plays that nasty on the edge game. He's got some skill too. Don't get me wrong, but he's another opportunistic guy that likes to take advantage of a situation. And Marchand and him were braced both at the same time. I mean, he saw him cut. They both saw each other coming. Marchand was the one who was going to initiate the check on him. That's the way it looked to me to start it. But Bennett outdid him.
Doesn't change the fact that he threw the punch. And then what about the horrible non-goaltender interference? How many years have I been saying this? I brought this up when we were doing it by telephone. Alexander Graham Bell, remember?
For some reason, and I had somebody answer me back there like, oh, well, what do you want, a public flogging of the referees? Well, yeah, I do. Players get it. Management gets it. You know what I mean? Owners get it. Oh, and like, why not have them answer the hard question after controversial games? Right. All you got to do is go out there. Yes, this is the reason why I made that call. That's what I felt at the time, blah, 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 blah. Then, sometimes if you do that, I think if you do that, Paulie, I honestly think that you might get away unscathed as a referee because at least you manned up to it. But they want to sit and hide behind some secure doors with some supervisor scolding them, but nobody knows anything about what they said to them. That was a blatant, first of all, it was a cross-check. I've seen lighter checks than that called in the playoffs throughout the Rangers series and every series. That was a blatant push cross-check from behind by Bennett onto Carlo. Right. And if he doesn't do that, Bennett does not score. I don't want to hear anybody tell me that he's going to score anyways because the goalie's on the other side of the net. Bennett don't even get to the puck then because Carlo's there. That should have been a penalty to start with, Paulie, on Bennett.
Right.
And for them to go to the videotape in Toronto and take the time that they did and come back with the decision they made. Obviously they didn't even think about the cross check on Bennett because they never called it. So you can't do that. The referee blew the call on the Bennett cross check to start with. That's what I saw there. I don't know what you see, but that's what I saw there. He cannot score that goal unless he puts Carlo off into his own goaltender.
Agreed. It's a cross check. It's goaltender interference. It's player interference.
Yeah.
And how it can. But here's my question: How do they call that? Even in Toronto, they don't see it the way we see it because they challenged the play.
Well, they challenged it, but they didn't. For some stupid reason, Paulie, you tell me. I had somebody answer me on my post there on Facebook, talking about, it's the integrity of the league and integrity. Listen, the integrity of the league went out when they started letting people gamble on the fucking games. Okay, this is a league when I played didn't allow gambling. Period. Didn't want anything to do with Vegas odds. Didn't want. But now, every billboard, every time I watch a game now on ESPN, bet around the ring. You know what I mean? So I don't want to hear about the integrity part anymore. Give me the integrity bullshit about the officiating. All they got to do, they got it wrong in Toronto, Paulie. I agree with you. They got it wrong. And I think Boston was right in this one. Yeah. But my point is, I think officials should be interviewed in every sport. I've been saying to you for how long? And just answer why you made that call. I'll sit there with my little Jimmy Olsen pencil, beat reporter, and go, okay, here's what he thinks about it. Instead of us all going home after the game and going, what the fuck was that?
Right.
Just answer. Come out and answer. You might save yourself a lot of grief by explaining what you saw at the time, what you felt at the time, why you called it at the time. But instead, we don't get to talk to these guys. One guy said, well, they get punished by not playing referee the next game. Well, really? I haven't seen that happen yet this year.
That's true.
You know what I mean? Like, really? Give me a break.
Yeah.
They got to do something with this review anyways. I'm getting a little sick of it too, Paulie. I know we want to get it right, but again, tonight we had one tonight here in the Boston game. I don't know if you saw that. You saw Boston scored a goal and Florida challenged. And, if you're a Florida fan, you think it's goalie interference. If you're a Boston fan, what are you looking at? I mean, I'm going to get a little sick of all this, like all these reviews. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
What do you think about that? Let me, you can get your 2 cents in here.
I just, we've been talking about this all year long, and what I'm not understanding, and I think it's important. I think it's important, like you say, to hold the officiating accountable and have open discussions on why things are being called. And when we're hitting the review and Toronto's involved, how do you and I, who have been around the game, you played the game, I've been around the game my whole life, watched probably 40 billion hockey games. How do you and I look at it and say, plain and clear, that's goaltender interference, or however you want to call it, it's interference. How do you and I see that? Yet coming out of Toronto and coming out of the officiating, they don't see that. There's a disconnect somewhere in our understanding of the game anymore. And this is the first year where, I watch a lot, obviously watch a lot of Ranger games, and, Joe and Sam kind of joke around when Joe Micheletti, who's played the game as well and has been around the game and has done, 20 years worth of broadcasting now, he'll make a sound, well, in my opinion, I think, from what I know, this looks like whatever, a goal or no goal, and they'll come back with the opposite of what he thinks. And we've seen that more, than ever before. Because I would tell you a year or two ago, I would watch a play and you would say, oh, did it hit his glove? Okay, it's a hand pass. Oh, did it, does it look like it's a distinct kicking motion? Okay, so he kicked the – we would know when we saw the replay, we would agree with whatever the call or the overturn was. It was very few and far between where we didn't see the same thing and say, okay, that was the right call after the review. And now it's like fucking throwing dice. It's like, well, here it is. And I wonder, and Kotze, you said it. I said it. You said it. But I wonder, does it have anything to do with the fact that the integrity of the game has been compromised with gambling?
I just go by what it was in my day. We were instructed every year by a former FBI agent that would come around, work for the NHL. You can't do this, you can't do that. And it was so frowned upon about anything to do with gambling. But now, it's a multi-billion-dollar business, and all the sports teams get involved in it. There's no question about it. I mean, I get it to make money. It's still a business. But here's the thing that you and I used to talk about all the time that they don't understand still. In all sports, not just hockey. They don't understand this. I have an 85-inch screen over here, okay? Not everybody has an 85-inch screen, but they probably got at least a 50-inch screen when they're watching their sports. In the last 20, 30 years, TV technology has improved so much, and games and sports are being covered by so many different cameras and angles now that they still think it's the 50s where you just didn't see that. Don't you worry about that. That's what they tell the fan when they fuck up in any sport. Okay?
Huh.
I know what you saw, but you didn't see that. They don't get that. They don't understand that you're giving us the technology and the replays and the angles that are just as good as anywhere. Okay? They're trying to make us believe that our eyes deceived us on all these calls, Paulie. Now, right. The only thing I will consider where they have a problem themselves and explaining everything is the rule book has gotten too polluted over the last 10 years or so. It's gotten too polluted. What's a cross check? What's a slash? What's a this? What's a that? Yep. I'll give you a good example. If anybody was watching the Ranger game last night, okay, did anybody see Burns cross check and knock down Rempe at center ice without the puck? Like, how did you miss a 6'8.5" guy getting knocked down from behind with a cross check and no call? No call.
And the same thing disadvantage that.
Because it's Rempe, Matt Rempe. Understand what I'm saying? Getting at here?
Yep.
So I just don't get how they think that we're still stupid enough that we're watching a black and white TV from the 50s with only a one camera angle. We get enough angles that we as the fan, as the hardcore paying people, okay, for your sport, and this goes for all sports, we saw what we saw. I don't need some guy in Toronto to tell me what happened. I don't need some guy, referee, going to this thing in a football field to tell me what happened. I saw it.
Right.
And that's where they're getting way, way off base with this video shit, Paulie. What they've done is they've turned common sense into Dunceville. If you're a common sense person on that goal with the Bruins the other night, okay, Bennett's goal, common sense. The official was 2 feet away from Bennett. And he stood there like this, Paulie. Common sense says it should have been a cross-check call. Forget about the goalie interference. Forget about the puck going in the net. Just common sense.
I don't disagree.
Whether it's a love tap or not, as somebody said on my page, oh, God, see, that was just a love tap. Doesn't matter. Love taps have been called for the last 10 years. That's the NHL for you. And that's all pro sports for you now. They think that we're dumb. We didn't see that. I'm going to stand by that.
Yeah, and it brings me to the final point that I have on this, which in this conversation kind of made me realize even more. You realize how 99% of the time when a player loses the ability and a scoring chance due to a foul, no matter how timid that foul would be, when you got a guy on a breakaway, you touch him, you tap him, you look at him, you know, a lot of times it's called. In this case, you know, this is a clear advantage of taking advantage to score a goal. So it should be called as well. And it should work on both sides.
I agree. That goal should not be allowed. And had the play been called properly, it wouldn't have mattered. Wouldn't have mattered about the goaltender interference. Wouldn't have mattered that Bennett still put the puck in the net. It should have been a 2 minutes cross-checking or 2 minutes interference on Carlo. One of the two. It's either cross-check or an interference call. Which one you want to take here?
Exactly.
You know,
exactly.
But again, and I'll defend the referees a little bit. Every year they get bombarded with this nuances of, we really want you to start calling these a little more, and we really don't want you to call those anymore. They get these kind of speeches every year, Paulie. You know? And level from a 1 to 10 level of when a penalty is called, it just varies way too much for me. There should be a limit. Like, okay, like if a guy drops a stick because it gets tapped, I ain't calling it if I'm a referee. You know what I mean? But they call it now. So it's just so out of hand now. It's God, I just love to see these guys play like the real men that they want to be, you know? And Bennett, let's talk about Bennett again. This guy, again, would you love to have him on our team? I would. I'd take him in a second.
Could use him about now.
He's a damn good player. Damn dirty player. Damn, physical player and all that stuff. But, again, you're talking about the two guys that play that way, and one got the better of the other. So,
So the Messier Leadership Award came out yesterday?
Yeah, for Trouba. Trouba won it. Jacob Trouba won it. I don't know who votes on the Messier Award, so I just saw that they announced it tonight.
Yeah. We'll talk about it next week. We'll talk about the awards next week once we have the finals and stuff like that. And
well, listen, we still got about a half hour left here.
Oh yeah. Well, we have a lot to talk about.
Yeah. Well, boy, do we ever. Where do we start now?
I want to start with this. Last week, you and I had a text message for the first time, the first game in Carolina. Matt Rempe was scratched from the lineup, and Philip Hedl was put in. I know you were very adamant and very upset. I did a little research, and I don't think it's going to help, and I'm sure you did too. but apparently Heedle was working hard and all this other stuff that Laviolette said. But apparently he has really good stats against Carolina, and that was one of the decisions for him being in the lineup. But I wanted to get your thoughts on what happened there.
I don't think he should have been in the lineup. That's me, and I know you're going to think that, and anybody listening to this that knows my story on that. You're talking about a guy that missed basically almost the whole season, and you're throwing him in the fire. I don't care how he worked in practice. I don't care how he did in scrimmages in practice. It's not live bullets like a real game in the playoffs. And playoff intensity is way, way higher. Yeah, he had a couple good moments in the game, but really he was a non-factor. I mean, think about it. He's a non-factor. So I didn't like the idea. It worked out. The Rangers won in overtime. Okay. But then he comes up hurt the next day or sick the next day, Paulie. I mean, what has this guy got? 9 lives?
Well, I'm more concerned with the scratching of Rumpy. And, I mean, Heedle one day, Johnny Brodzinski the next. I kind of want to just get your thoughts on why do you think Laviolette's continues? And I know we talked about it the week before. Do you think it's because he's a target and he wants to soften that?
I'll play devil's advocate.
Got a little work.
I think I'll play devil's advocate on how the coaches think here. There's really no need to have him in the lineup realistically against Carolina. When you think about it, who's going to stand up to him there on that team? What, D'Angelo? Yeah. Please give me a break. Nobody's going to fight Rempe. Nobody's going to do anything bad to Rempe. You know what I mean? So that's the devil's advocate in me. But I still think he's important to have on the bench and let him play a shift or two every period. Yeah, he's still, he has trouble keeping up with the speed of the Carolina guys. But it only takes one time for him to crush somebody, and that's all it takes. You know what I mean? And I still think I think the team feels better with him in the lineup, knowing that they can go out there and be a little freer too. But that's just my theory on it, and I think you're probably correct. Maybe those statistics overrode, everything. That when Heedle plays Carolina, I don't know. I don't like trying to break things that aren't broke. You know what I mean? Unless you're top 4 or 5 guys on the team who's been sitting out all this time, the guys underneath that, sorry, big boy, you're going to have to wait your turn. That's all there is to it. Yeah. Things are going good right now. We're winning, Yeah. That's how I am. What do you think?
Well, listen, I was very upset to see Rempe not in the lineup, and I was actually texting you, and I thought the first game that Rempe wasn't in the lineup, I felt like D'Angelo was fucking D'Angelo running in his mouth. I wanted somebody to, put their fist through his face. Burns running around, just – I thought more guys were running.
You know what? I'm glad you brought Burns up because Burns was a non-factor the first 3 games, period. But I noticed when he's on the ice without Rempe on the ice, he all of a sudden it's like he's 22 again. He's starting to hit guys a little harder in the boards and stuff like that. You're correct.
You see the cross check he laid on Mika Zibanejad.
I saw that. Yeah. Well, again, there's a penalty there that wasn't called. The one on Rempe. The one on Rempe is more blatant to me, even though the one on Zibanejad probably hurt more. Because I know that feeling when you get down in the lower part of your back. The one on Rempe makes me laugh that they didn't call a penalty there because there was nobody within 10 feet south of Rempe, and there was nobody 10 feet north of Burns. The puck was coming up the boards. Rempe didn't touch the puck. Rempe wasn't even near the puck. So it's not a 5'8" guy that gets knocked on his ass. It's a monster that gets knocked on his ass, and they let it go because it's the Rempe rule. Don't think that shit don't happen. Trust me. It's the Rempe rule. It's like your boy Ovechkin all these years getting away with murder.
So what do you think? I guess we'll go back to, all right, so the Rangers go up 3-0. Panarin scores that crazy goal. They win the game in overtime. They go up 3-0. They go into Carolina. They go down early. They come back. 2 of the goals were really, Schneider's goal from the point was, a seeing eye shot. And then Lafreniere's goal is banked in off the back of the goaltender. It's all tied up at 3. I don't know how else to say this, but if you don't smell fucking blood, I just feel like this team sometimes just doesn't smell the blood, man.
Well, it was a missed opportunity. There's no question about that. I'll say that. It was definitely a missed opportunity. You could have been resting now for the last 3, 4 days, 5 days, waiting for Florida or Boston, most likely Florida. It was a missed opportunity, Paulie. What are you going to do? I mean, they finally, Carolina finally broke through with that penalty that, the Rangers took less than 3 minutes, around 3 minutes to go, whatever it was. And if you looked at Shea's slap shot, it went through. It was talking about seeing eye. It went through everybody and hit the bottom of the crossbar and in. You know what I mean? So they were due. Carolina was due for a win because, quite frankly, Rangers have not outplayed them realistically in every game.
No, I don't disagree with you at all.
Like 5-on-5, Carolina's owned them. Okay?
Yeah.
And the Rangers have relied heavily on Shesterkin's brilliance and heavily relied on the top guys' brilliance. Well, the top guys' brilliance haven't been around the last 2 games. Okay, that includes the 4-3 loss that night. Okay? They haven't pulled their weight the last 2 games, unfortunately. That's what happened there.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. You got like last night's game was like a little disturbing because it's not like they haven't been there before, these guys. You know what I mean? They've been here before. They had a 2-0 lead against the Devils last year and then 4 straight. Like, you've been here before. You got to take every advantage of the opportunity of playing at home. And last night they came out and they were awful. If it wasn't for Shesterkin, that score could have been about 8 or 9-1. Okay, let's call it what it is.
Yeah.
And you know what else has gone wrong? All of a sudden, the power play last 2
Dried
games.
up.
Well, they're trying to pass the puck into the net. No, you got to shoot the puck into it. Zibanejad played awful last night on the power play. I'm just telling you. Every time he tried to make a cross-ice pass, he either flubbed it or got intercepted, whatever. Okay? And he's a key. He's one of the guys that sets up the Foxes and the Panarins. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But they overpassed the puck the last 2 games, Paulie. They just overpassed it. And I think the power play hurt him. A lot of stuff that I didn't like. I didn't like what I saw last night. They got owned along the boards in their own zone. Not Mark Stahl, but the Stahl brother there from Carolina. He just stuck his big ass and just slid up and down the boards all night. Nobody could do a damn thing to him. And behind the Ranger net. How many times did he go back, forth, back, forth? Really? How long have you been playing the game? If the guy's a bigger guy than you got to figure out a way how to get the puck off him. But you can't just keep bumping him. You're not doing nothing to him. Keandre Miller has been very, very absent the last 2 or 3 games. I'm getting right into it now. Very absent. Him and Schneider did not have a good game last night. But Keandre Miller, you're one of the bigger guys. We need you to use your physical size against a guy like Stahl. I got more to say, but I'm going to let you go a little bit on what you thought about the game.
No, I was upset because I thought they let him off the mat in Game 4. I thought they had a real good comeback, and they were pressing and coming back, and I think that they let him off the mat. I think this team, like you said, seems to overpass, and what really starts to bother me is they start to really just get clumsy with the puck, and they do stupid shit. It's constantly chip. Last night in the 3rd period, we saw it. Constantly chipping, no care for the puck. There was no care on the power play. Um, I thought last night the power play was just fucking god awful. They couldn't control it. They were giving up chances against. They just really didn't look sharp. And when you don't look sharp, when you have an opportunity to close a team out, and like you said, listen, it's not just the Devils. They won 2-0. They lost. They had Tampa on the ropes too. The year before in the conference, they won the 2 first games, and they just shit 4 in a row. I mean, you got to understand what it comes to when you get to the finals like this. When you could put a team away, that doesn't mean anything but outwork the fuck out of them. Work in every zone, take the opportunities when you can. You need to sharpen your sword, man. You need to raise your shield and get to fucking work. It's not going to come to you. And last night, the power play, we talk about it. Like you said, the power play is dried up because they're not working. They're not winning battles. I will tell you, for the first time all year in this series, I see Chris Kreider actually taking the body, which is fantastic. But other than that, I just don't see the work that you need to have, especially when you're trying to close a team out. And you got to have that killer instinct. And I'm sorry, but like you said, the passes were sloppy. The puck management wasn't good. They were not sharp. They were not ready to win or close out the fucking series this night at home. And you could see that from pretty much after the 5-minute mark of the first fucking period.
No, I agree with you. They did not meet the challenge. Carolina played desperate hockey last night. They knew it was on the line. Carolina knew it was on the line last night. The Rangers didn't play up to their challenge, period. From one end to the other. Like I said, Shesterkin was the only guy. And eventually, he's going to have a game where they scored some goals on him in the third. I mean, let's face it. They scored 4 goals in the third, 1 empty netter, 3 on Shesterkin. You can't blame him for that performance last night.
Not at all.
They listen, here's the problem, another problem that they have right now, and they've had it throughout the whole series. Their defensive zone play is like really, really porous right now. It's been porous from the beginning of this series. I don't understand how you, as a 5-on-5, do not understand your responsibilities. You don't go after somebody else's man to leave your man open, okay? And right now, Carolina's owning them inside our own zone. They're getting over the blue line way too easy to start with. And once they get in there, they seem to own the boards, own the middle of the slot area. And if it's not for Shesterkin making a lot of great saves, Paulie, this could have been the other way around. Think about it. The other way around. Carolina could be going in tomorrow night trying to finish it off on the Rangers. You know what I mean? So listen, I'm still optimistic about them. Don't get me wrong. I mean, they had a clunker last night. It was a big clunker. That was a big clunker of a game and a playoff game, and that meant so much. But anytime they've had that kind of a bad clunker, it didn't last very long all season. So I'm hoping for a different team coming out tomorrow night. But I'll be honest with you, don't be surprised if it comes to a Game 7.
Well, I got to tell you that to this team needs to come out and match the desperation that Carolina has.
Yeah.
And when it seems like when this team, gets to this battle front, they really they give the line away. And it's starting to scare me because, Washington had no business being in the playoffs, and we all know it. And they made it, and the Rangers took care of it the way they should have. I mean, they were expected to win the series. They did a fantastic job. They swept it. They executed in all parts of the ice. And they, this team, they come out 3-0 here. And, Game 3 was marginal, if I'm being honest. I mean, it was a marginal game. They wound up winning it, and that's great. And here we go. Game 4, they had a chance. They didn't match the desperation, even though they came back. And then last night was just an absolute fucking dud. You're 1-0. You're 1-0 on a Jacob Trouba goal. And it's like, I don't know how much more inspiration you need to get out there and fucking just make it miserable for Carolina. So I don't know, man. I got to tell you, I will be super disappointed if this team does not win tomorrow night. And if Carolina comes back to this series and ties it up 3-3, I don't know. I don't know where the momentum and the psyche of the New York Rangers is going to stand from there.
Well, we also got to put it in perspective, though, too, Paulie. As much as we're disappointed in their performance the last two games, Carolina was chasing them all year for first overall. They finished 1 point behind, Paulie. So they're not exactly the Washington Capitals.
Oh, I get it. I get it.
So, that team's got a lot. That team's got a lot of like stuff that they want to prove to themselves too. And with Brindamore behind there, I mean, they know they've been in this situation how many times over the last 3-4 years where they're supposed to be the team that could win it all. So they showed a lot of guts last night, and they played hard, and they won the game. They outplayed the Rangers, plain and simple. That's one game. Now you got a chance. The way I look at it as a player now, you get a chance to take it all tomorrow night, and you got to go for it. I'll give you a good line that I read this week about, I think Mark Messier was in Edmonton on the radio Monday in Edmonton. And Craig McTavish was talking to him about how when they were down in a series back in the good old days when the Edmonton Oilers were rocking, they were down a few times, 2-1, stuff like that. He'd go in the dressing room, and he'd just look at the players in the dressing room. He says, "Okay, boys, it's time to put your balls on that crest of the jersey." I like that line. Put your balls where that crest on the jersey is. That's a line from Mark Messier. Put your balls on that crest tonight, boys. So it's time for the Rangers to put their balls up tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's your boy Messier talking. One of the best captains in pro sports, not just hockey.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we'll see what happens here. I was very disappointed with the effort. It's not like they lost a close one there.
There's a minute and 10 left, and they pulled the goalie for the last 3 minutes.
Yeah, I see that. Good. Well, we need Boston to win that. That series has got to get extended. We don't want anybody, if the Rangers come out of this, we don't want anybody well rested, So
yeah, I know. I hear you big time.
That's really all I got. I guess my next question is, do you think Matt Reppy plays tomorrow?
You know what? The way things have gone, I can't answer that anymore. I know what I would do, but I would do. You got to remember that there's something about the last change too. You don't want to get caught with the fourth line out there, and they have Aho's line out there. They get the last change. So I don't know anymore. Like, to me, it's those guys. The fourth line does a great job. They know what they're doing out there. They're not stupid. Reppy's not a dummy. He maybe what he lacks in skills, but he's not a dummy out there. He knows what the right play is, what the wrong play is. He's just got to work on it a little bit to gain more ice time in the future. We're talking next year. And he's got to work on his skating and his skills a little bit. But I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. The lineup. I don't think he's going to change it, but he might. He might throw in Hedl if Hedl's ready. He might do that.
Yeah, I mean, I tell you, my thought was, all right, you want physical. I mean, I really like the way Enstrom plays, and Enstrom goes to the net and everything else. I feel like they have options. I get it if you don't want to play Rempe but Adam Enstrom's a big boy too, 6'7".
Yeah, but he doesn't play. He doesn't play an overly physical game. I think his size kind of slows people down into trying to run into him and stuff. But he doesn't really go looking for trouble to hit people that hard, Paulie. I watched him enough this year. He's a big guy, but I don't think he really went in hard to hit people like Rempe does.
Yeah, well, I think Rempe probably needs to try to slow down.
Game 6 in Boston, big boy.
Well, that's good. We needed that. We need that, and we need the Rangers to win tomorrow night.
So listen, here we go again. Like we could do this. We could say the same thing we just said for the last 15 minutes. What the fuck were you doing, Florida, tonight? You had game, blah, 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 blah. You didn't have the killer instinct, blah, 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 blah. Hockey's so messed up, isn't it?
I gotta tell you. I gotta tell you, that series has been pretty tight.
I didn't think Boston had a chance tonight.
Really?
Well, you thought they had a chance going into Florida?
Yeah, I was sure hoping so.
Well, but seriously.
Yeah.
No way.
I think after last game, they were frustrated. I really hope the Rangers come out with an attitude tomorrow and play the entire game with an attitude. And Carl, you're right. There's a difference between being outplayed and getting destroyed because of lack of effort.
Listen, Panarin has to show up tomorrow. He has to. He can't play defense like he did on that goal yesterday where you have the guy, but you didn't have the guy. You can't do that. Okay? He's got to show up tomorrow. Zibanejad's got to show up tomorrow. Kreider. All the big guys have to show up tomorrow. The other guys will follow your lead. That's the way it is. There's always a lead horse, Paulie, or a lead dog in a pack.
I need Chris Kreider to score tomorrow, man. That's for sure.
I agree. I agree. But the leaders, the big boys on the team, the top 4 or 5 guys, have to show up tomorrow so the rest of the guys follow in kind right behind them. You're going to get what you get out of Shesterkin. How about giving him an easy game for once?
Agreed.
For once. But I want to, before we get off I got to say this to my Toronto Maple Leaf fans out there, okay? I got to say this. I got an idea. You know how you fix Toronto? If Edmonton loses tonight, I got the fix for both teams. Trade rosters. Send the whole Leaf team to Edmonton and send the Edmonton team to Toronto. There we go. Fixed it. Why not? What's the difference? You're going to get McDavid. They're going to get Matthews. You're going to get Draisaitl. You're going to get Marner. You know what I mean?
That's hilarious, man.
Well, if Edmonton loses tonight, that's all I'm saying. If they lose tonight.
That sucks.
If they lose tonight, they're not going to win it. They're obviously going to be down 3-1. They're not going to beat Vancouver 3 straight. It's plain and simple.
Yeah. Well, hopefully everyone gives everybody a run for the money.
Before we go, I started. Paulie's got a lot of stuff going on with this Capo thing. Now, what's the latest on that? Let's hear it. I saw your picture on Facebook standing there with the crew, but you had your hand out like this so your arm looked bigger. You pushed your arms out like that.
This fucking guy.
I saw it. You had the like extra small shirt on, but you had it all pushed out like you're Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh my god. He's got comedy, bro.
What's the latest? What's the latest? When am I going to be able to watch this thing?
The latest is it's at one of the European film festivals, but we're supposed to get notification from Prime. It's going to be on Prime at the end of June. I thought I told everyone that we don't have the exact date, but it is the end of June.
You and your boy Barbarisi there, you keep teasing us with stuff there on Facebook. Like is it coming like before then?
Believe me, everyone's got to watch it, man. So we're going to need a lot of support from everyone. So you got to watch it. I don't have a real big role in season 1, but I am going to have a bigger role in season 2. But I am in some really key scenes, which is fun. I had a lot of fun with it. I think I have maybe 4 or 5 talking lines.
How long were your sentences?
Not very long. Stuff like, shut the fuck up. What the fuck am I doing here? I got to take a piss. Um,
Oh, I can't wait to see it. I like that.
calm
that
the
kind of
fuck
stuff.
down.
And there is kind of like a horror mixed in with it too, right?
Yeah,
Mysterious,
it's mafia with
supernatural.
yes, exactly. With
That's the
supernatural.
word, supernatural. We'll see.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's actually very cool. I'm pretty excited. I'm really excited to get into season 2. I've got some information about my character, which is very exciting. So I'm gonna have some fun with it.
Does it lead to season 3 where you get killed or something?
I can't. I signed a non-disclosure, so I
Like
can't
big
tell you.
pussy, big pussy. He got dumped into the water there. Remember?
No, man. Don't forget,
Sopranos?
I'm the Don's #1 guy. So.
Yeah, but so was Big Pussy was somebody else too, you know, in that thing. They
Exactly.
offed him off.
Exactly. I got a little sunburn this weekend too. I'm itchy as hell. Listen, I got a pack for a trip this week. Heading to Nashville for a couple of days. But I'm gonna buy Wi-Fi on the plane because I'm gonna be traveling Thursday night. So I'm gonna be in the air, hoping to try to watch the game on my phone while I'm flying. So I'm not too happy about that. That's why I wanted them to fucking win last night, so I didn't have to worry about watching it. Okay, so kind of sucks, but you know, it is what it is. And
Oh,
such
here
is
you
life.
Hey, enjoy yourself. Enjoy yourself. Listen, whatever happens Thursday night. If they show up, they'll win. If they don't show up, they won't win. That's the way I look at it. The team that I know, if they show up, will win the
Right.
game.
I agree
You know?
wholeheartedly, my friend.
You know, and
But,
Lavalette has pushed all the right buttons for the most part all year. Okay, he might have made a mistake or two here in the playoffs, but you know,
Yeah, I think he has made a few mistakes in the playoffs here, and one of them was I felt like we needed a timeout last night, but it is what it is. We'll see what happens. Let's go Rangers. I'll see you guys in a week.
thanks for tuning in, people, and you people in the comment section. Way to go, Matt, Beth,
Matt,
Jay,
Carl, my buddy Carl's in there. It's good to see you, Carl.
and everybody else.
Michael Mason was in there earlier. Ryback stopped by.
Hey, Mason, you better get better. Paulie and I need to come and get some more food one of these days.
We're gonna head out to Vinny's out there.
Yeah.
All right. I'll see
right.
you guys in a week. Good night, everyone. Let's go Rangers.